Ankle joint is of great clinical significance because it is this joint that is also forming one of the weight bearing joints of the lower limbs. Secondly, it is subjected to various injuries, making it one of the most commonly injured joints. So let's start with its anatomy. Ankle joint, to study any joint, we have a scheme. We must know its type, the articulating surfaces, capsule and its attachment, synovial membrane. Then we must know the ligaments, their attachments, their functions, how are they helping to strengthen the particular joint, and then in the last, movements that take place at the joint, at what axis do those movements take place, and what muscles help to perform those movements at that particular joint. And last we must know its nerve supply and blood supply. Starting with the ankle joint, the type of joint is, since you know that flexion and extension takes place at the transverse axis at this joint. So naturally, it is going to belong to the synovial hinge variety. Articulation, what bones, what structures are participating to form this joint? We have lower end of the tibia, and then we have two malleoli, which include the medial malleolus of the tibia and lateral malleolus of the fibula. Superiorly, so superiorly we have at least three articulating surfaces: lower end of the tibia along with its medial malleolus, and then the lateral malleolus, especially its medial surface. Inferiorly, the structure that is participating to complete the articulation of this joint is the tarsal bones, and one of the tarsal bones, that is the talus. Superior surface of the body of the talus, that you can see in this diagram, it is convex, so that it should fit in the slight concavity of the lower end of the tibia. During this articulation, what are these malleoli doing to help to stabilize the ankle joint? We have the two malleoli that are attaching and holding the medial and lateral surfaces of the talus bone, so that it remains fixed into the slightly concave lower end of the tibia. So these two malleoli, the medial malleolus of the tibia and lateral malleolus of the fibula, they are basically holding the superior surface, convex surface of the talus, body of the talus, into the concave inferior surface of the lower end of the tibia. The superior surface of the talus, body of the talus, is also called trochlea because it is pulley shaped. So next we have the capsule. Before I move on to the capsule, let me explain a term here, which is called the malleolar mortise. So what is malleolar mortise? It is a rectangular bony socket that is basically a space enclosed superiorly in the middle by the inferior surface of the lower end of the tibia and medial surface of the lateral malleolus and medial malleolus, holding on either side of the talus, so that the pulley-shaped trochlea of the talus, or the superior surface, convex surface of the talus, is loosely fit into this socket. And due to this loose fitness of the trochlea of the talus, it helps in its movements dorsally and plantar-wise. So this rectangular socket is called malleolar mortise, and it is necessary for the movement of the talus at ankle joint during dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. So this was all about the malleolar mortise. Regarding capsule of the ankle joint, just like any other capsule of a synovial cavitated joint, it also attaches over the margins of the articulating surfaces, over the margin. So capsule basically pretty much attaches over the margins of the articulating surfaces, both superiorly, that is the lower end of the tibia, medial malleolus, lateral malleolus, and inferiorly talus, superior surface of the talus. Synovial membrane lines the inside of the capsule. In some, very often, what happens, the cavity of the synovial joint extends upwards. It extends upward so that it becomes continuous with the cavity of, or with the joint, inferior tibiofibular joint up till the interosseous ligament. So this again is an MCQ, that yes, the joint cavity of the ankle, it extends upward into the inferior tibiofibular joint up till the lower attachment of the inferior interosseous ligament. So these lines, they are often asked as part of MCQs. So basically, you cannot skip any detail given in your recommended textbooks in the UHS, especially KLM. So next come the ligaments. Ligaments of ankle joint are very important, particularly its medial ligament, that is the deltoid ligament. It's a very famous ligament in the body, and it is a very strong ligament. So why are the ligaments of ankle joint so much important? Because again, as I mentioned earlier in my lecture, that ankle joint, since it is not only a weight bearing joint, but it is also subjected to extremes of the movement at this joint. And because of the extremes movement that may take place at this joint, it should have got ligaments that must be providing a lot of support to this joint in order to provide the stability to this joint. So most of the ligaments of the ankle joint, they basically comprise of, or they basically are in the form of bands, multiple bands. So let's see the lateral ligament. The capsule of the ankle joint anteriorly and posteriorly is very weak and very thin. But on the sides, medial and lateral sides of the capsule, it is provided strength by the lateral ligament laterally and medial, or deltoid ligament medially. Lateral ligament is the weakest of the ligaments of ankle joint. It is in the form of 3 bands: anterior talofibular, posterior talofibular, calcaneofibular. Anterior talofibular is a flat and weakest band. It is attached, or it extends from the lateral malleolus to the lateral surface or neck of the talus. Why have I mentioned the lateral surface / neck of the talus? Because these two attachments, sites of attachments, are given in 2 books, KLM and Snell. So I basically note down or put both points here in my slide from both KLM and Snell. Posterior talofibular joint, here you can see the posterior talofibular joint. It is actually the thickest and strongest among these 3 bands of lateral ligament. It is attached to the malleolar fossa and extends till the lateral or posterior tubercle of talus. Then we have in the middle calcaneofibular ligament, or band of lateral ligament. It is extending from the tip of the lateral malleolus up till the lateral surface of calcaneum. That is the bone of the heel. Medial ligament is actually the strongest ligament of the ankle joint. That is why it is called deltoid ligament. not only on the basis of the shape of the ligament, but also its strength. It extends from its apex at the medial malleolus and gets attached in the form of three parts with the help of three more ligament bands, I should say. So from the medial malleolus, it extends towards the talus, calcaneus, and tuberosity of the navicular bone through anterior posterior tibiotalar, tibiocalcaneal, and tibionavicular bands. So here we have the medial malleolus of the tibia, and in the middle you can see that we have the tibiocalcaneal part that is extending between the medial malleolus and the calcaneum. Then we have a rather anterior part that is the tibionavicular. Here you have the tibionavicular going towards the navicular bone, that is the tarsal bone. And then we have anterior posterior tibiotalar. Here we have its anterior part, and here we have the posterior part. So you can see how this single ligament is almost providing strength from the anterior aspect, from the medial aspect, and the posterior aspect to the ankle joint. But since this joint is one of the highly mobile joints and subjected to the extremes of the movement, it is also subjected to the injuries, sprain, जिसको हम आम जुबान में मोच कहते हैं. तो इसके लिगामेंट्स और ये जॉइंट की डिस्प्लेसमेंट काफी कॉमन है, और हम अक्सर सुनते हैं कि जी मोच निकल गई. तो उसमें होता क्या है कि लिगामेंट्स ऑफ द एंकल जॉइंट दे टियर अवे और either partially or completely. And in the spraining of the ankle, the joint may or may not get displaced. That is subjected to variation. So this was all about the ligaments of the ankle joint. Moving on to the movements, very simple. Dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, and muscles of the anterior compartment of the leg provide dorsiflexion, and plantar flexion is carried out by the muscles of the lateral and posterior compartments of the leg. It is that much simple. Blood supply is received by the malleolar branches from the fibular artery, anterior tibial artery, posterior tibial artery, and nerve supply is provided by the deep peroneal nerve. Relations of the ankle joint are very important from the MCQ point of view, and often they are asked as part of SAQ in the University of Health Sciences written paper of anatomy. So here we have the anterior view, and here we have the posterior view. From anterior, you can see we are following a sequence medial to lateral, right? Since tibia is labeled here, so this is going to be the medial side, and this fibula is here. So here we have the lateral side. So from medial to lateral, we have these structures that lie anterior to ankle joint. Tibialis anterior tendon, extensor hallucis longus. Then we have the neurovasculature, in which the anterior tibial artery is medial to deep peroneal nerve. And then we have extensor digitorum longus and its tendons. And in the last, we have peroneus tertius. So basically the contents of the anterior compartment of leg, they form the anterior relations of the ankle joint. You must remember this sequence, because in the OSPE, this sequence is asked. Secondly, we have certain models in our museums that are showing these structures. So you cannot identify these structures if you do not know their location and relation to each other. Fine. Let's see what structures lie posteriorly. Again, from the medial to lateral side, here we have tibia and here we have fibula. So we have tibialis posterior, then flexor digitorum longus. After these two muscles, we have the neurovasculature, again artery, that is the posterior tibial artery lying medial to nerve, that is tibial nerve. And then we have the flexor hallucis longus. All of these structures also comprise the posteromedial structures. to medial malleolus, right? These structures, ये structures relation बनाते हैं पोस्टोमीडियली, मतलब जो मीडियल malleolus है टिबिया का, उसके behind से यही structures गुजरते हैं. अगर आप laterally और posteriorly देखें तो जो lateral malleolus है, what structures pass behind the lateral malleolus so that they form the posterolateral relations of the ankle joint. Here we have the muscles of the lateral compartment of the leg. Superficial muscle is the longest, and then deep muscle is the peroneus brevis. So these are the relations of the ankle joint, and this is all about the ankle joint. So we have bony arches of the foot. So we have at least 3 bony arches in the foot: a medial longitudinal arch, a lateral longitudinal arch, and transverse longitudinal arch. What is the significance of these arches? Why do you have to know about these arches? How these arches, what are the functions of these arches, and what is their clinical significance? These are different parts of the arches, different points related with the arches that you must know. It's a 99% asked SAQ, short answer question or short essay question in the University of Health Sciences. So before we move on to the explanation of these arches, let me tell you a few points related with the osteology of the foot. अब आपको बेटे पता है कि foot हमारा वो part है lower limb का, it is that part of the lower limb that comes into contact with the ground, right? Direct contact with the ground. And weight is transmitted from the leg to the bones of the foot via ankle joint. So what points in the foot, they come into close contact with the ground, direct contact with the ground. We have the area of heel, right? Number 1, heel. Number 2, the 2 sesamoid bones related with the first metatarsal, head of the first metatarsal. And then we have heads of the remaining 4 metatarsals. So we have area of heel, 2 sesamoid bones related with the first metatarsal, and heads of the 4 metatarsal, lateral 4 metatarsals. So 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. These 7 points, they are, they lie or they come in direct contact with the ground. So when you put your foot on the ground in order to hold the weight of your body, how does the foot react to this tremendous amount of weight that is put on it? So in order for the foot to basically hold down your weight, it must be flexible. It must show resilience. It must have certain active and passive factors provided to it in order to help foot to hold down your weight. What are those active and passive factors that are provided to the foot for this particular purpose? If you look closely in these 2 diagrams, medial longitudinal arch and lateral longitudinal arch, what do you see? You see an arch-shaped bones of the either side, on either side of the foot, arch-shaped. So nature, Allah Ta'ala, has provided the foot with arch-shaped bones, in which the bones present in the or on the medial edge of the foot, they are more highly domed, highly arched as compared to lateral longitudinal arch. So first of all, in order to bear the weight of the body, this arch-shaped margins of the foot are going to play their important role in order to hold the weight of the body. So this shape is very important, is significant in this regard. But medial longitudinal arch is more prominently, significantly arched as compared to lateral longitudinal arch, which in comparison to medial one is much flatter. In the x-ray, or even if you put your foot in some wet sand, अगर आप किसी गीली रेत पे, जैसे बीचेस पे गीली सैंड होती है, वेट सैंड होती है, उसके ऊपर आप अपना पाँव का प्रिंट बनाते हैं, तो यू विल नोट के उस प्रिंट में जो एरिया मिसिंग होता है, वो कौन सा एरिया मिसिंग होता है, where this highly prominent arch is present, which one? Medial longitudinal arch. This area or this margin of the foot is not included or does not form a print in the wet sand. सही है? So sand में आता क्या है? Print में heel का area आता है, ball of the foot आता है. अब जो foot की ball है, वो कौन बनाता है? कौन सा area बनाता है? ये first two metatarsals का head. First two metatarsals का head का जो area होता है ना हमारे sole में, वो ball of foot कहलाता है. So this area leaves its print, heel leaves the print, and lateral and transverse longitudinal arches leave their print. Which arch does not leave a print in wet sand? That is the medial longitudinal arch. So this arch shape is very important in order to hold the weight or bear the weight of the body. Secondly, what other mechanisms are required to make these arches feasible to hold the weight of the body? Their ends, that is, जैसे for example, different bones ही ये arches बना रही हैं, तो इन एक bone को दूसरी bone से connect करने के लिए कुछ structures चाहिए होंगे. You will need certain structures to firmly anchor one part of the bone with the other part of the bone, right? Secondly, आपने जो एक arch का end है, उसको अपने arch, same arch के दूसरे end पे भी आपने connect करना है. So we will be needing certain structures to connect one end of the arch to the other end. Then we will need certain structures that will suspend these arches. Fine? I hope it's clear. So these are the factors, these are the structures that are required to provide the support to these arches in order to maintain these arches. So let's discuss these factors one by one. Starting with the medial longitudinal arch. The bones that form this arch include the calcaneum, bone of the heel, talus, then we have the navicular bone, and then we have three cuneiforms: medial, intermediate, and lateral. And last May, we need the first three or the medial three metatarsals. The keystone in this arch is the head of the talus. This is the superior trochlea of the talus. This is the body of the talus. This is the neck, and this is the head, which is going into the concave surface of the navicular bone. The structures that tie one part of the or one bone of the arch to the other include the spring ligament, a very famous ligament which is also called plantar calcaneo-navicular ligament, that is on the plantar surface. Calcaneo-navicular. It is also called the spring ligament. And then we have the tibialis posterior tendon.